When it comes to makeup, is it okay to judge a book by its cover, or do you care more about what's on the inside than what is on the outside? Personally, I do love some pretty packaging. I like something that's practical, easy to use. However, there are some products that the product inside is just so good that I look past cumbersome to use packaging or a non-aesthetically pleasing packaging, something that isn't easy to use, something that's not really pretty to look at, but I look past it because the insides are what truly matter. So today I figured it'd be fun to share some of those products with you. And yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it. The first product that has some bad packaging, in my opinion, is the Maybelline Super Stay 24-Hour Skin Tint. Now, this is one of my favorite foundations in my collection. It is so beautiful, but the packaging is quite messy. Unlike a lot of other foundations, this one, I have two shades, by the way. I have 118 and 110 I'm gonna mix. Unlike a lot of other foundations, this does not have a pump or squeezy tube. It actually has a dropper, which is quite messy. So the thing about it is there's so much product on the dropper itself, you never actually have to use the dropper. I usually just kind of swipe it and that gives me enough product as is. And you can see the rim gets super duper messy. If you're not so careful putting it back in, it's gonna scrape across the sides and drip down the edge and then just get everywhere. So it is quite messy, which is not my favorite. And again, I just find the dropper to be kind of pointless because you already get so much product on the dropper, like the outside itself, that it's like you don't even need to squeeze any out. However, like I said, I do look past it because it's so beautiful on the skin. It says it's a skin tint, but honestly, this gives a medium coverage. It performs like a medium coverage foundation. It is very thin and lightweight like a skin tint, so I do like that about it, but it has the coverage and longevity of a foundation. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. Also, it gives you a beautiful, luminous finish to your skin without being greasy or oily, and it wears a really long time. It reminds me a bit of the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation, if you've ever tried that, where it gives your skin a bit of luminosity and light reflection, but it wears all day long. So even though the packaging is a bit of a mess, I look past it because the product itself is so beautiful. One of my favorite foundations in general. Okay, the next product that has very messy packaging is the NYX Bare With Me Serum Concealer. You can tell that I do love this product. I have multiple shades. So obviously I enjoyed the formula. It's just that it gets quite messy. You can tell by the lids here. It is quite messy. So the reason why this gets very messy is because unlike a lot of other concealers that come with a doe foot, this actually has a pump, which is unique and innovative and cool, but in use, it is very messy. I don't know how else to describe it. And the pump, the thing that I had to learn the hard way with this is you don't want to use a full pump of this product because it is pretty good coverage. And if you use the full pump, you're going to get way too much and it's going to crease excessively. So I find the packaging to be kind of pointless because at least if it's going to have a pump, it should pump out the right amount. I mean, that's subjective, but for me, it just pumps out way too much and I wind up going in with too much product or just wasting a bunch of product. So it's not ideal. I could see the pump being useful if you wanted to travel with this product and use it as like your whole foundation type product because it's so tiny. It would be perfect for traveling, but I personally don't use it always in that way. I like it more as a concealer because it is very hydrating. So it doesn't accentuate dryness under the eyes, but it does give you a pretty good medium coverage, I would say. And it just looks very natural. If you just use a little bit, it looks super natural under the eyes, like very undetectable. And I find that to be a very difficult thing with concealers. A lot of times you can just tell you have concealer on under the eyes because the skin there is so thin that a concealer that's too heavy or too matte, it's just gonna crease or it's just gonna sit on top of the skin. It's gonna be obvious that you're wearing concealer. Whereas this one, I do find it to be pretty undetectable as long as you don't go in with too much. So I look past the messy packaging because I like the formula a lot. It's one of my favorite concealers from the drugstore. Next up, we have another product from NYX. I'm sorry to hate on NYX. I love so many of their products, but sometimes their packaging is just a little bit of a miss for me. These Wonder Sticks are amazing. They are dual-ended products, so you get a bronzer slash contour on one side and it kind of twists up like a lipstick, and then you get a highlight on the other side. The reason why I'm not the biggest fan of this product is, I mean, obviously it's a little bit cheapy. It doesn't look super luxe, but that's just to be expected with something that's pretty affordable. The main reason why I don't like it is because the product itself easily detaches and it just kind of moves around and it's just, you know, not very sturdy. And another thing is that the shades that they paired together don't make a lot of sense to me, so I don't know why it's packaged this way. I almost wish that it was the bronzer by itself and then the highlight by itself. That way you can pick and choose the shades that suit your skin tone the best. For example, this here is the shade Fair. So you can see that the bronzer contour tone is a lot lighter and more cool toned, but the highlight is so deep, it would never work on me when I'm at my fairest. It's actually deeper than the universal light highlight shade. You can see the bronzer is a little bit more warm, neutral, a little bit deeper, and the highlight is actually lighter than in Fair. So I don't know, the pairings of the shades just don't make a lot of sense to me. So I don't love the way that the shades are packaged, and I don't love how the product itself easily breaks and becomes like loose and fancy free and can fall out as you're trying to use it. So that's not my favorite at all. However, let me tell you why I do like this product. When I'm at my most fairest, the contour shade in Fair is really, really great for my skin tone. It gives me that chisel. It's not too orangey on my skin, but it's also not too gray. So in the winter time when I'm super, super fair, I do really appreciate the tone of this. It's hard to find good, cool toned cream bronzers at the drugstore. And I find this formula to be very long lasting. It's a little bit stiffer, not difficult to blend out, but a little bit stiffer. But I find that that stiffness really helps to like grip to your skin and contributes to the longevity. I'm going to actually use the light shade today just because I am a little bit tanner, and the Fair shade right now is a bit too gray on me. I'm gonna take the product onto the brush and just sort of work it in, because this is very pigmented, and if you draw directly on your face, which you totally can do, it's just a little easy to go overboard, and it's a little bit harder to blend out because of that stiff formula. So I do this with a lot of my cream and liquid products. I just find that you have more control if you don't go directly on the skin. But you can see it just gives you a nice diffused bronze. It has a matte finish, so it's not going to emphasize any texture, and again, it wears a really long time. Since this one is a slightly warmer shade, I am going to sort of sweep it across the center of my face, just because this is where the sun would naturally hit me and give me a little bit of a tan. But I do like the tone of this one as well, because it's not orangey or overly red. It's I would say a pretty neutral, maybe slightly warm bronzer shade, but not overly so. If I'm being honest though, the main reason why I love the Wonder Sticks is for the cream highlighter. Honestly, I'm more of a powder highlight girl. I just find that liquids and creams can be a little bit more finicky, they can be sticky, but I do love the highlight in this product. I feel like it's very underrated because it just gives your skin the most glass-like, gorgeous glow. It's not glittery, it's not sparkly, it's not metallic, but it's also not too subtle. It's just, oh, can you see that? It's so pretty. It's subtle, but not too subtle. So I just find it just looks so natural on the skin and so gorgeous. I really, really like this highlighter. I just wish that the highlight was sold separately because... Oh wait, is this the Fair one? Uh-oh, I used the wrong shade. This is the darker one, but I'm gonna top it over with the lighter one. See, this is what it confuses me, because this is the Fair Wonder Stick, but the highlight is actually deeper than the light Wonder Stick. So it's confusing. This one is working for me since I do have a tan, but this one is my favorite. This one has a bit more of a gold undertone, a little bit brighter. And I find just using my fingers to apply it is the best way, in my opinion. A beauty blender would probably work as well. And even if I wanted to draw this on my face, I really couldn't because, again, it's detached. So it would just probably fall off and make a mess. Oh, it's so pretty. So pretty. I love it. This is actually one of my favorite highlighters in my collection. Packaging stinks, but the product itself is really good. Oh, also, I used the shade Vanilla in the NYX concealer, by the way. I'll have everything listed below. Okay, moving along is blush. So we're not gonna hate on NYX any longer. This is from LA Colors. This is their Blush Up Cheek and Lip Cream. This brand is available at like Dollar General, so it's super affordable. I think it's like $3 or $4. You get a ton of product, and I love this cream blush. I think it's really, really great. The only thing I don't love about it is this applicator. I know it says that you can use it on the lips, but honestly, I never use it on the lips. It dries down too much to be used on the lips for me, and it's too pigmented. So I prefer using it on my cheeks, but the thing is, I would never squeeze this out directly on my cheeks because you're just gonna get way too much product. It's gonna be hard to blend. So I always have to squeeze a bit out, and you get a lot out. As you can see, the hole is quite large. So I always have to squeeze a bit out, which is fine. I do this with a lot of cream and liquid products. It's just not ideal. I would prefer if it had a doe foot like the e.l.f. Camo blushes. I can apply those directly to my cheeks, and it's just a little bit less messy, you know. If I can avoid getting product on the back of my hand, I will. It's not a deal breaker. Obviously, I still love this product. I love the shade of it. I think for the price, I mean, just in general, it's a great liquid blush, but especially for the price point, I mean, you really can't beat it. So I look past the not ideal packaging because, I mean, look at that. It just blends out so easily. It's super pigmented. It gives you a beautiful flush. It's really pretty. This one is in the shade Natural Flush, by the way. But again, it's very pigmented, so I would not recommend going in directly on the cheeks. I think it's just going to be a disaster waiting to happen. I am going to layer it up just a little bit because I feel like my lights always kind of wash things out. In person, it looks like a good amount, but on camera, it always feels like I'm not wearing enough blush. And I really like the tone of this one. It gives you like that pretty sun-kissed look. It is not only drugstore affordable products that have bad packaging, in my opinion. This face palette from Laura Geller is one of my favorite products in my collection, but the packaging is so bulky. It's so thick, unnecessarily thick, and it's just like a cheapy cardboard sort of packaging. I mean, I do like the magnetic closure, but it just doesn't feel high-end, and it's just, again, so chunky. It's difficult and annoying to store and annoying to travel with. However, the powders are quite beautiful. I feel like baked powders are getting a little bit of a comeback and getting the recognition they deserve because they are so pretty. They give you that luminous, glowy finish, but they have the longevity of a powder. They're not going to slip and slide around as a liquid or cream would do. And these ones are just so beautiful on the skin. I cannot get over how beautiful they are. I'm going to go in with the baked blush. This one is in Pink Buttercream. Obviously, this palette is more suited for fair to light skin tones. If you have a medium to deep skin tone, I actually don't know. I'm sure she has other colors of her blushes and bronzers on her website, but I'm not sure about this palette in particular. But I just love how thin the powders are. They're not chalky, dusty powders, but they give you a good amount of pigment. They sit so closely to the skin that it looks like your skin. It doesn't look like a layer of powder sitting on top, and they give you a beautiful sheen. Oh, so gorgeous. I especially love using this in the summertime, but honestly, I use it all year round. This is actually, I think it's called Baked Body Frosting in Tahitian Glow. I don't know if it's a highlight, but I use it as a bronzer or like a bronzer topper. And again, it just gives you a little bit of color, that gorgeous glow. It just looks so summery and healthy on the skin, but not glittery, not highlightery. Like if it is a highlighter, it's a very lit from within kind of highlighter, not a metallic highlighter. So you can kind of get away with using it all over. It's something like the Essence Baked Pure Nude highlighter, if you've ever tried that, or the Hourglass powders, where they give you that glow, but it's something that is more like a lit from within, ambient lighting sort of effect. I'll go ahead and swatch some of it for you. I don't know how well you'll be able to see. All right, so there's the bronzer right there and the blush. Obviously the bronzer right now, I don't really know if it's meant to be a bronzer. I think it's just a deeper highlight. So you could use it like on the shoulders, all over the body to give you a little bit of glow, but I find that you can build it up and get a little bit of pigment. And you can see just the natural sheen that these give. It looks so healthy and beautiful. It is stunning. And again, I find that there's just so much space in this palette. Like, it didn't need to be this big. There's so much extra room. And honestly, I never use the shadows. They're not my favorite formula. I do quite like the highlighters though. They have two highlighters. There's one in French Vanilla, which is a bit more subtle. And then there's one in Portofino, which is a little bit more intense. So here's Portofino and here is French Vanilla. Honestly, I usually just mix them. Sometimes I don't go in with the highlighters at all just because the cheek products are already quite glowy themselves, but for the sake of the video, you can see it does amp up the glow a bit. Very pretty. So, love this palette. Laura Geller usually has really great sales, so you can get it at a discount, but I just find there's a lot of wasted space and it's a bit chunky. A little chunk, a little too chunk for my liking. Okay, I just went ahead and powdered my skin, primed my eyes, and now we're gonna do eyeshadow. I did want to quickly mention a lip balm that I love. This is the Pacifica Vegan Collagen Complex Lip Balm. The packaging though is not my favorite just because the applicator has a hole that is much too large and you always get a lot of product, like way too much. Like it squeezes out too much, it gets goopy. But the product itself is super nourishing, feels so good on the lips, and you get a lot in here. So I wanted to mention it because it's a really great lip balm. It's just a little hard to use. Like if you're out and about, you gotta be kind of careful that you don't squeeze out too much or else it can get like everywhere. If you don't have a mirror, it's a little bit more of a challenge. But I look past it because the formula is so good. Also, my skin is just not doing the best lately. I don't know what is going on. I'm so dry, so red, so textured. It's just how it is. So honestly, the makeup is not looking its best, but trust me, these products are amazing. It's just my skin's not really doing them any favors. They're not gonna work magic, right? Like if my skin's not doing well, they're not gonna be able to disguise that, but I do feel like they help a little bit. Anyway, when it comes to eyeshadow, my biggest pet peeve is a palette that has way too much empty space. Sort of like the Laura Geller Baked Face Palette. I love Moira eyeshadows. This is the Moira Soul of Fire eyeshadow palette. I love these shadows. These are amazing, amazing shadows for a pretty affordable price, if I do say so myself. And I love the color story. It's so fun. It gets my creative wheels turning, but I get it, it's supposed to be a butterfly, you know. I see what they were going for, but there's just so much space here. It just bothers me. I just would have preferred them to be in rows, in columns. Boring me would prefer a simple layout with less space, but that's just me. And also, same thing goes for this Flower Beauty times ET palette. I don't even know if this is still available, but of course, Flower Beauty is Drew Barrymore's brand, and she collabed with ET, which she starred in obviously as a child. It's supposed to look like a DVD case, so you have the front of the movie, the back of the movie, which I don't even know, they don't really even make DVDs anymore, really, right? But this is how they used to look. You'd have like a couple scenes from the movies, special features, maybe some credits. And the inside is supposed to be a DVD, like it's shaped like a DVD, but again, there's just so much empty space. I feel like this could have been a little tiny palette, which would have been way more travel friendly, but I mean, I get what they were trying to do. It's just not my favorite. I keep these palettes, even though their packaging is not my favorite, because the formula of these shades are amazing. Again, the Moira shades, so pigmented, so blendable, and their shimmers are really, really, really creamy for a affordable brand. And this one has some really cool like duochromes. This is like a really neat, almost like a multi-chrome. It's got like purple, silver, blue, a little bit of a brownie base to it. It's so pretty, and you just don't really find that with a lot of drugstore brands. This one's like an iridescent, icy, purpley shade. Really, really pretty. So I love the formula, I just don't want the packaging. I'm gonna do something pretty simple today. I think I'm just gonna go in with Gertie right here. It's like a grayish purple. And just pop that all over the lid. I'm just popping a little bit of this purple shade from the Moira palette in the crease and on the outer corner. But you can see how pigmented this purple is. And purples are actually quite, from what I hear, difficult to formulate, and this is a really great one. Okay, Okay friends, so I just went ahead and finished up the eyeshadow off camera because my battery was dying, but basically you saw everything that I was doing. I took, again, that purple shimmer called Gertie all over the lid, and then I used the purple from the Moira Solidifier palette in the crease and on the outer corner. And then I just took my Wet n Wild Color Icon black eyeliner along the lashes and winged it out just a little bit. And I layered the navy blue ET Phone Home from the Flower Beauty palette over top of the black eyeliner, and that's basically it. I popped a little bit of my Milani tubing mascara on, and then I used a half lash from Lily Lashes. I'll go ahead and put everything in the description box if you're interested. And I also set my brows with my CoverGirl Clean Fresh Brow Gel. But yeah, this is the finished look. I really love how it turned out, and even though some of the products have not my favorite packaging, I do love the way they perform. As you can see, I'm really happy with the look. Let me know in the comments down below if you have some makeup products, beauty products that have not your favorite packaging, have bad packaging, ugly packaging, whatever, but you look past it because the product itself is so good. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Or is packaging a deal breaker for you? If it's not practical, if it's not good to look at, do you just write it off completely? Or are you the opposite and you don't care about packaging at all? I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts. Please share them down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys are doing so well, and I love you so much. I'll catch you in my next one.